Coming up on AOPA Live this week.
The medical profession has been trying to predict sudden incapacitation forever, and they've never been successful at it.
Does medical certification make us safer? One expert says no. The all-seeing eye, including through the bottom of your airplane. A new benefit to make you a better pilot. And don't try this at home, kids. AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment.
Let me say that I really don't think I've made the skies any safer by doing third-class medicals over the last 30-plus years.
And the debate over a driver's license medical continues. Hello, everyone, and welcome to AOPA Live this week. I'm Tom Haynes. As we've reported, the FAA is considering rulemaking to relax medical standards for private pilots in some smaller, simpler aircraft. And then Congress is considering legislation that would allow private pilots to fly aircraft weighing up to 6,000 pounds in VFR conditions without a third-class medical certificate. But what do medical professionals think about that? We asked Dr. Brent Blue, a senior aviation medical examiner, a well-known writer and blogger on aviation safety, and the co-founder of Aeromedics, a company specializing in aviation safety equipment. He spoke to me this week from his office in Jackson, Wyoming.
The medical profession has been trying to predict sudden incapacitation forever, and they've never been successful at it. We really can't tell when people are going to be suddenly incapacitated. We really cannot predict it with any kind of accuracy whatsoever. So the medical profession has failed it, and there's no reason to believe the FAA is going to be able to do it as well.
If you had 5 minutes to talk to Michael Huerta, the FAA administrator, what would you say to him about this issue?
Well, I'd say we need to stop third-class medicals. It's gotten to the point where the statistics are there. We're really not doing anything. And if they were doing anything, I'd be the first to stand up and say, let's continue third-class medicals. But they're just not important. They're not making the skies safer.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, CAMA, the Civil Aviation Medical Association, came out in opposition to both the AOPA EAA proposal for a driver's license medical and the General Aviation Pilot Protection Act now pending in Congress. CAMA represents less than 10% of the practicing AMEs in the U.S. Dr. Blue is a member, but he doesn't agree with them on the driver's license medical issue. What's your thought about what that organization's doing?
Well, I think that there's both from CAMA and the Aerospace Medical Association, there is some self-serving purpose in coming out against the elimination of the third-class medical. I think that some physicians are very vehement about the importance of third-class medicals. I just don't think the statistics show that they are correct. I think the statistics show that we really don't do anything with these third-class medicals except cause a lot of expense and a lot of time and hassles for pilots who either aren't healthy or have minor problems.
If the first step toward recovery is admitting there's a problem, then the European Aviation Safety Agency has gone further than its counterparts in other countries. EASA recently admitted in public that its existing general aviation regulations are disproportional and excessive. The European analog to the FAA is working toward a complete overhaul of their regulations by 2017. You can read more about it on AOPA.org. Well, and speaking of the friendly feds, the FAA this week announced its first unmanned aerial system test site is operational in North Dakota. Congress ordered the agency to establish 6 of the test sites to help figure out how to integrate drones into the national airspace system. The North Dakota Department of Commerce got an FAA certificate of authorization to begin using a Dragonfly X4ES. The little 5-pound drone will be used to check soil quality and crop status. And when we come back, the $250,000 flight helmet and one crazy takeoff. AOPA Live this week continues in just a moment. Welcome back. You're watching AOPA Live this week. Well, as they say at our sister publication, Flight Training, a good pilot is always learning. Well, we just added some more ways to help you learn if you're an AOPA member. Pilot Workshops is an AOPA premier partner, and that means our members get free online access to an extensive library of audio and video aviation training programs.
We find the best instructors we can and put together programs that are practical and useful for pilots. Mm-hmm. So we do stuff like really focus a lot on common mistakes that pilots make and how to improve and how to overcome those mistakes. We do a lot on technique, how to improve in technique in a number of areas in flying, and how to fly safer and better, and that's a big focus for us.
For your AOPA member access to these pilot workshop training tools, go to pilotworkshops.com/AOPA. Well, imagine having all the information you need to fly your airplane right in front of your eyes all the time. Trying to find that airport? Well, look straight down. You can see through the bottom of your airplane, and there it is. This is super situational awareness, and it's yours for about $500,000. You do have to be wearing a uniform and driving an F-35 these days, but this could be in general aviation's future. This is the most expensive weapons system in U.S. history. It's 7 years behind schedule and more than $160 billion over budget, but boy, what an airplane. It includes the most expensive helmet of all time. Custom fitted to each pilot, costs $250,000 plus another $250,000 for the computer that drives the helmet-mounted display system, or HMD as Lockheed Martin likes to call it. I recently had a chance to fly HMD and F-35 demonstration simulators.
The system is 360 degrees, creating that sphere of protection around you.
6 infrared cameras feed a 360-degree view to the helmet. Turn your head and look wherever you want. The computer figures out what view to project in front of your eyes. Makes for tremendous situational awareness.
All those are tools that enable the pilot to truly understand what his situational awareness is. We always talked about, as older aviators in the military, about SA, and you had to interpret what your SA was through steam gauges and individual sensors, a radar or a targeting FLIR, and then piece those together in your mind. Now, as you've seen from flying the F-35, you can look down, you get the God's eye picture, you know exactly what the targets are out there. Now, Tom, for general aviation, something that might happen down the road when you think of Google with their smart goggles, glasses, you could think of almost a poor man's version of that helmet with those Google glasses slaved into the synthetic vision that you have, already in the general aviation world, and also, the Garmin 1000s and things like that.
But the fun part was flying the F-35 simulator. It was almost like a big video game.
The throttle on this side, the control stick. There's a total of 22 buttons.
I flew some combat missions.
Now we've got our weapons selected.
I took out a control tower. And boy, was it a lot of fun, and what an amazing airplane. Thanks to Lockheed Martin for inviting us to their fighter demonstration center just around the corner from the Pentagon. Last year, the AOPA Foundation gave away 10 grants of $10,000 each as part of a Giving Back program. The foundation wants to recognize good works being done by nonprofit aviation organizations. One grant went to Pilots and Paws.
We save innocent animals one life at a time. We fly animals, homeless animals all over the country. We have a wide organization of about 3,500 pilots and numerous foster groups that will go to shelters and save dogs.
And I got to bring a husky from, he was found, turned into the shelter in Texas. And I got to transport him to the actual adopting family. They had never seen the dog. They found him on petfinder.com, and they said, he's beautiful, this is exactly what we need, he's going to fit our family perfectly. When we got there and dropped the dog off, the family was there, the kids were there, and that dog ran to them as if they were just meant to be together. And those are absolutely the best transports for Pilots and Paws.
Pilots and Paws used the AOPA Foundation grant to help fund flyaway outreach events that rescued hundreds of animals and delivered them to new families along the East Coast. And finally, they do things a bit differently around the Great Lakes. We've got proof. This video comes from Michigan. That's right, it's a pickup towing a seaplane on a trailer toward the runway. At the end of the seaplane season, aircraft on straight floats land on the grass. Joe Sprague from Cadillac Aircraft Service stores them and does the annual. And since there's no water at the Wexford County Airport, this is what they've got to do to get the seaplanes back in the air. AOPA Online talked with the pilot of this airplane. Look for that story on ePilot this week. And that does it for this week for us. I'll be heading to San Marcos, Texas for our first AOPA member fly-in of 2014. Food, seminars, a pilot town hall with Mark Baker, flights in the aluminum overcast. It all should be fun. And if you can't make it, we'll tell you all about it next Thursday on AOPA Live this week. Hope to see you back here then. For all of us at AOPA, thanks for watching.